Hello there, everyone. Welcome to another Wednesday. Welcome to another episode of GrowShow. And thank you so much for coming back and joining us. It is great to see you all again. This is a brand new episode, and it is lovely to see so many of you here. In this episode, we're going to be looking at mindset, some brand new research on the characteristics of high-performing individuals, teams, and organizations. And I want to start by saying hello. Look, I hope you're all keeping well. I realize in the last 24 hours, the universe has changed again. For our viewers that are in the United Kingdom, many of you are going back to working from home instead of working inside the office. So look, I hope that you're settling into that really well. Make sure that you stay interactive during the episode. I'll be bringing in some of your comments, and I'll be giving away some free prizes for anyone who leaves a comment of any kind. If you have missed an episode of GrowShow, then type the word recordings in the comments below, and I'll send you all of the episodes that you have missed. And I hope you've had a busy week. It's been busy for me. I've got some updates for you here that I'm going to tell you about. In the last week we did Live for 5. In other words, we did 5 episodes across the week. Now, Friday, I didn't do Friday. I had a sore throat, but don't judge me. I spent the day in bed, all Netflix, no chill, sadly. I also did an amazing big event for Liberty Global and Virgin Media. There were over 20 countries represented, so thank you so much to my friends at Virgin Media and Liberty Global for having me. It was great fun. What else? Oh, this week coming, I'm doing a big event for my friends at DRPG. If you haven't worked with them before, they're great fun, and a fantastic event for Capgemini. It's going to be on the characteristics of high-performing leadership teams. I've also got a live webinar coming up next week for Queen's University Belfast, and in it, for the first time ever, I'm going to explain my journey towards starting my own business. I'm going to tell you all the good stuff that happened and all the bad stuff, and I've come up with a great title for it. Wait till you hear. It's called Couch to 500K. I know, shut the front door. It's a very clever title. And in it, I explain exactly how I started my business, all of the good things that happened, the bad things that happened, and some of the mistakes that I made, and perhaps how you might be able to learn from them. If you would like to attend that event, then make sure that you go onto the Queen's University Belfast LinkedIn page, sign up, and you'll be able to attend. And it's happening on Zoom, so I'll be able to see you, talk to you, have a chat, and it'll be really interactive as well. So I've got a slightly sore throat this week, so this episode will be a teeny wee bit shorter than some of the rest, but nonetheless, I hope that you enjoy it. In this episode of GrowShow, we're going to explore mindset, so without further ado, let's get started. And if you've never tuned into GrowShow before, thank you for joining us. GrowShow is the only live streaming show on the internet that teaches you proven science-backed tools and techniques to help you grow your business, grow your team, and grow yourself. I realize as I look at all of the comments that probably many of you can repeat that off the top of your head now, but I really appreciate all of the great support. We've got people tuning in from all across the world for every episode, and we will always bring you brand new material that helps you. It's lovely to see Frank here. Thank you so much for joining us, Frank. Colin Borland would like the recordings. We will make sure that we get them to you. We've got someone coming in from the wonderful, the glamorous, glittering heights of Costa del Belfast. Andrew, great to see you. Nevin is asking for the recordings. Nevin, good to see you. I hope you and your family and your business are keeping well. We will make sure that we send you a link. Mary Keatley, as I live and breathe. Mary, I thought you were dead. Hope you are good. And yes, I've got the post sore throat syndrome. It is still a bit sore and a bit tired. And Crystal, so nice to have you tuned in as well. Crystal was one of our competition winners last week and will be sent some lovely free swag. As I mentioned, this episode is all about mindset. And when we talk about high performance in our businesses and in our organizations, that can sometimes create a type of anxiety, this imposter syndrome that high performance is for someone else to consider. It's not really for me. I'm just an ordinary person. But actually, when we explore the real science of mindset, we can begin to appreciate that the building blocks of high performance all start up here. And there is decades worth of research that prove that. So in this episode, I will show you the real science behind focusing your intention around setting meaningful expectations and also building your personal ambition. In GrowShow, every episode is always based around evidence, science, and research. And this first piece of evidence around the science of mindset explores how you can use some really simple techniques to set your ambition. One of the fundamental skills, one of the fundamental principles of a growth mindset is that we should reward effort, not results. And this is manifested in many different ways. If you are a parent, for instance, I highly recommend, let's say that your daughter comes into the room looking beautiful and gorgeous. You might want to say, "Oh, you look absolutely beautiful today." However, the real science behind growth mindset shows that we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't reward the output or the results. We should reward the effort. So instead, we should say, "Wow, your outfit looks beautiful today. You must have worked really hard on picking it." If your son does incredibly well in a test at school, don't say, "Wow, little Johnny, you are so clever." Instead, say, "Wow, your score was incredible. You must have worked really hard." We know that the evidence shows that by rewarding and recognizing the effort, they are much more likely to work harder in the future. One great experiment bears this out, and it was reported brilliantly by Eleanor O'Rourke. It was a huge sample, much bigger than many of the experiments that we are often able to report. There were 15,000 students taking part and playing a simple math game. The game was called Refraction, but unbeknownst to them, the students were divided into two groups. Now, one of the groups were rewarded for the effort that they put in, instead of their scores, instead of their final results. The second group was simply rewarded for getting right answers in the same way that we might do in any traditional game or traditional exam. Group number one got what were called brain points. If they worked hard, if they demonstrated a concept of strategy, if they progressed well and demonstrated determination. But remember, group two only got the scores. They only got the good result if they got the correct answers. Now, my question to you is, and I'm curious about this, which one do you think would perform best? Do you think group one, where they were told that they had worked hard, that they demonstrated forethought, that they had exercised good strategy, that they were progressing effectively and showed evidence of determination, or group number two, where their right answers were celebrated? Let me know inside the results, inside the comments. What I will say is, some of you will be watching this and saying, well, this is school kids, this is education, this doesn't apply to my business. You have my word. The science behind this is the underpinning of why your own team are either overperforming or underperforming. So let's take a look at the results. This, by the way, is what the piece of software looked like. This is how they demonstrated what a growth mindset was. Occasionally, screens would appear saying, "Did you know that when you work hard and when you struggle, your brain gets stronger and smarter?" And the science bears this out. Through a principle called neuroplasticity, the harder you work and the tougher a challenge is, the more neuro connections are built inside your brain. This principle of neuroplasticity builds connections that through time become permanent, and it fundamentally shapes the way that you think, act, and behave. And of course, you will know, if you've watched GrowShow before, that the evidence is always surprising, shocking, and immediately applicable to you. Group one, where their effort was rewarded, instead of just their scores and their test results and their output, they played the game for longer. They completed significantly more levels. In other words, they were more engaged longitudinally over a period of time. They also demonstrated much more persistence when they got a question or a challenge that was tough for them, and they handled failure and the questions that they struggled with much better. Now, transfer this into your own organization. How often are you rewarding, recognizing, and celebrating the effort that your team make, especially in these challenging times? Now, let's go back to the original evidence behind this, because the mother of the growth mindset, or at least the researcher who brought it to prominence, was Carol Dweck. And the fundamental principles are really straightforward and easy for you to start applying straight away. Dweck suggested that we must always reward the effort and not the results if we want our people to grow, whether they are kids or not. But we must always encourage incrementalism. In other words, success is evolutionary, not revolutionary. It's about the small little efforts and steps that we make every day to improve, not the big, huge creative creative ones. If we embrace imperfection and run towards our challenges, then we can accept that success is not predestined. It takes work, it takes effort, it takes discipline. So a really great example. If you have missed any of the previous episodes of GrowShow and you'd like me to send you recordings, I'll do it totally for free. Just type the word recordings in the comments below and I'll send you a link to where you can watch everything. And in some of the episodes, we looked at the real science of persuasion, how to increase your likelihood of getting a yes by 300%. We've looked at leadership, motivation, high performance. If you haven't seen those episodes, I promise you, you're missing out on something good. Now, for experiment number 2, another key principle in mindset are the expectations that we set of ourselves' performance and that of the people around us. And there is one researcher that you might have heard of that has demonstrated the power of expectations better than anyone else.
Starbucks has just introduced its most expensive cup of coffee ever. It's called Costa Rica Finca Palmera, something like that, and it's priced at $7 a cup. Starbucks says the coffee is worth $7 because it's made from a rare variety of Central American beans called geisha that are very hard to grow. Do you think you can even tell the difference between regular and the $7 cup of coffee? We went on Hollywood Boulevard today to find out. We grabbed some people walking by. We sat them down, coffee drinkers. We put them in front of 2 cups and let the Finca Palmera Coffee Challenge begin.
Starbucks is introducing a new super premium $7 a cup brand of coffee. We're seeing if people can tell the difference between the regular and the super premium.
Okay.
So try the different coffees.
Alrighty.
Which is the super premium and why?
I want to say this one because it has more of a richer taste. It tastes stronger, more premium, I guess.
Okay, I should mention that we didn't even bother to get the $7 coffee. We got a pot of regular coffee and poured the exact same coffee in both cups.
Okay, this one's a smoother flavor. The other one's slightly bitter. This has a richer, bolder taste. This is definitely it.
I believe it's this one. It just tastes richer and lighter. I think I like that one better.
I think it's this one. It's quite like a, not stronger, but more smooth. It's really, really full of taste. Which this one is more like bland.
It kind of has a beany taste. It tastes like a bean. It has like this roasty grind feeling.
It has that more, like, that more strong taste to it. And, you know, you can taste it. You can feel it right when it goes down. You can taste it.
I would say for the value, for the taste, consumption, I would put $2 to $3 on this cup, preferably over the second cup.
It all tastes the same. Both taste the same.
Doesn't taste more acidic?
Nothing at all.
You can't judge a book by its tank top, I guess.
These expectations really do drive our own sense of how we're going to perform. It sets our ambition, and as a consequence, it sets our level of effort as well. And this has been borne out so many times. There are countless studies that show that bottles of wine that are more expensive are rated as tasting better, having a fuller flavor, having a more diverse texture, even though they're exactly the same bottle of wine, just labeled differently. There are so many examples of this. I could go on about it for days and days. But how does it affect your team? Well, it does affect their results and their expectation of how well they do. And I can prove it with a really simple experiment using mice. Now, what I will say is this experiment was actually done using rats, but I didn't want to put a photograph of rats up on the screen in case any of you have a phobia. Dr. Bob Rosenthal carried it out, and it really is fascinating. He wanted to test the power of self-fulfilling prophecies in team performance. So he got 2 groups of rats and separated them into 2 cages. One was labelled the very smart rats. I know. The other one was labelled very unintelligent rats. And he had them go through a maze to see how much quicker the smarter rats would be. But in a huge twist of fate, it was the experimenters that were the lab rats in this case, because there's no such thing as an intelligent or a stupid rat. They were divided randomly. What Bob Rosenthal wanted to test and see was the experimenters. If they expected this rat to be smarter than this rat, then would they score them better? And the results were really fascinating. The very smart group massively outperformed the stupid or the thick group or the unintelligent group. And we think that this is because the researchers who thought they were smarter treated those rats better. They were more warm and caring to them. They were more gentle with them when they put them inside the maze. They were significantly nicer to them, and perhaps because they expected them to do better, they scored them more generously as well. The opposite was true of group 2. Those rats were chucked inside the maze as quick as you like. Now, I want you to think about this in the context of your own team. If you are a leader, think about the performance that you expect them to achieve over the course of the next 4 or 5 weeks. Who are your top performers? Ask yourself a really honest question today. Are they top performers because they are massively exceeding expectations and exceeding targets? Or is part of that your expectation? And because you expect them to do really well, are you spending more time with them? Are you connecting with them more effectively? Have you got a better relationship? Just like the researchers that were handling the rats. If you do, then perhaps you are at least co-authoring their good performance. But try to be really careful. We're often busy catching our teams doing wrong things or catching them out for doing the incorrect thing. We need to spend as much time catching people doing right as we catch them doing wrong. That can massively impact their performance. And remember to celebrate the effort that they make every day, the small changes, the small incremental steps that they make towards achieving a goal. Even if they don't get that really lucrative new contract across the line, they will have learned every step of the way. And it allows you to meaningfully accept that success is a journey and not always a single destination. So let's take a couple of moments to go over to our comments. Damien is saying neuroplasticity is the word of the day. It is. I could say it all the time. Anita, hello, Anita from ICE. Great to see you, Anita. I tuned into your event a few weeks ago and really enjoyed it. And you were absolutely right with group 1. Michael Bradley is saying, I will praise my daughter's minimum effort in bedroom tidying in order to produce a cleaner room. I think give it your best shot. Mark Perry is saying, I'm not sure if I'm good enough to have imposter syndrome. Comedy gold, Mark. So great to have all of you tuning in. Karen is saying back again. Oh, thank you so much for coming back and tuning into the show, Karen. I really do appreciate it. Next week, we have another brand new episode of GrowShow. So please do make sure to tell your friends and colleagues. Click follow on LinkedIn if you want to make sure you get a notification. Click the like button on Facebook. Also subscribe on YouTube to get as many notifications. We always have a giveaway of some sort in GrowShow. So I'm going to turn away from the screen and pick someone at random to get a prize. And that person is, it's Mark Perry. So Mark, you have won some GrowShow swag. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please, Mark, send me a direct message on LinkedIn with your address and we will send you the kit that you need. We'll send you these lovely good giveaways. And actually, we've got a new supplier for these now, so they are quite nice, I have to say. By the way, if you are hosting a virtual team event for your colleagues, then in the last few months during lockdown, we've created really deep dive virtual learning and training masterclasses for all of these great organizations. We make them fun, engaging, interactive, and more importantly, full of learning as well. And here is some of the feedback we've got for some of our recent events. Hi everyone, my name is David Meade. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us during this live and interactive masterclass.
The feedback that we had is the best that I've seen for any webinar. It was the biggest audience we've ever had by far.
I haven't been to, a virtual event like it. I certainly haven't laughed as much in any virtual event.
As human beings, we live up to and down to our own expectations of our own performance. Convince yourself that you can, will, might, must, or should, and it comes out in everything that you do.
His enthusiasm, his style, it immediately engages the audience.
And I think what David really offers is he genuinely cares.
And I guarantee you will leave this session with practical and actionable tools and techniques that you'll be able to apply and employ straight away.
Engaging.
Interactive.
Full of energy.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of GrowShow. I will see you back here for some brand new content next week. Stay safe, everyone.